Okay, everyone. Welcome to Wife's a Bitch podcast. I'm Victoria Arnstein, and this is my guest, Ami Kozak, who is a great comedian, impressionist, impersonator, all the same, right? A musician. And he's blowing up all over the place because I see him on the news. Everywhere I go, I see Ami Kozak doing an impression or doing some really, really great talks. I mean, you are an advocate for Israel, and I think that you're just a great representative. As far as I'm concerned, I think you're one of the best because I'm honored to have you here. And we can talk relationships, and we're going to have a segment called Ask a Bitch. But right now, I'd like to just give him a little bit of praise and then find out how he got into all this.
And we love bitches. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
We've been back and forth for a little bit, so glad to make it out.
Yeah, you've been traveling, and I've been following you. But I saw you on social media somewhere. I think it was with Candace Owens at the time, and she praised you for your Prince Harry impression, and that was a lot of fun to watch.
Good times. Yeah, that was a different
Never
chapter.
know when he's going to go in.
People ask the origin story. It's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, a year before October 7th, or before anything really started to get weird over there with some of the views she was starting to gravitate towards, she was just kind of a fan.
Right.
And discovered some Prince Harry impressions that she found very funny and reviewed them on her show as a departure from the serious stuff.
Right.
And I think that's probably how I ended up getting on to discuss Israel and anti-Semitism, was really because of the fact that she had been a fan of the comedy, and therefore when I commented on some stuff on Twitter that I found really objectionable and pushed back, I think she took notice, having been a fan of some of the comedy. But, you know, at the time, like November 2023, she did have me on to discuss and unpack things.
And boy, did we find out that you had a really serious side to you.
Yeah, I guess
besides
so.
the impressions, which are phenomenal, by the way. You're really good at it and funny. So that matters. You know, there's a lot of people that do impressions, not that funny.
Right.
But you have both, and you're a good writer, and you're doing great things and great sketch comedy. So you're bringing people in from comedy side. You're a musician also. How did you get it? What did you do first? I don't know. You're a family man. How did it all start for you?
Music came first professionally. I mean, I've been doing, you know, you're always a funny person when you become comedians are, you know, oftentimes. I mean, it's interesting. You do meet comedians who do comedy professionally, but didn't identify as like the class clown when they grew up. But I did. I was socially funny, but professionally musical. Like that was the path I was on, doing music for film and television. I lived in LA for 10 years from 2011 to 2021. And that primarily that time was spent scoring for film and TV and playing with my band Distant Cousins, like an indie folk pop trio. And, you know, the comedy stuff started as I started to do a little bit of TikToking. My entry point into there was doing funny impressions, and I felt like that was the easiest thing I could do on a consistent basis because I hadn't used social media as a creative outlet. It was just a promotional outlet,
right?
You know, so I started using TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, doing impressions and sketches and stuff like that. And then come COVID, things kind of shut down. So a lot of the musical performance stuff was kind of on pause. And I started really doubling down on doing content online. Initially some Gary Vee impressions and things like that took off. And that was my first sort of entry point into becoming like a content creator comedian.
Right.
When I moved back to New York in 2021, I dove into the stand-up scene pretty aggressively and started doing the whole mic circuit, stand-up scene, club spots, things like that building up. Because I'd been performing on stage as a musician for 15 years. I was very comfortable in that domain, in that format.
Right.
Stand-up is a little bit of a different beast, so I really focused on building up stand-up.
Right.
And now I'm sort of synthesizing the two, doing some more musical comedy in my hour, like, you know, live looping and things like that kind of integrate everything. But music it's still something I do, and it's funny because my sort of online profile is more well known for the comedy and now the commentary, but the music has always been.
Isn't that funny how that happens? I started out as going on Broadway. I was going to be an understudy, hopefully, for Les Miserables.
Oh, wow.
On Broadway years ago. And so I was into singing and acting. I was in tons of community shows.
Yeah.
And then, you know, wanted to do that. And then when it peeled back is comedy I always loved stand-up, but I never thought as a Syrian Jew I'd get married. So that was like off the table.
Yeah.
And I buried it. And then my husband, like 10 years in or something, said, you'd be good at stand-up. And I took a class and that was it. Like I got the bug and I loved it. But the creative part of that, of writing and sketch comedy that I'm starting to evolve and do that now also, it just, you never know where your journey's going to go.
Yeah, and I think the sort of social media online space was the entry point by which you could build your own audience doing whatever you want. But when you're making decisions to get into the industry, those things didn't even exist.
Right.
So I had been playing music since high school. I went to music college. I studied music professionally at a very high level. And the comedy was this casual, fun thing. Yeah, I could do impressions of friends, teachers, celebrities. Right. But the idea of doing it professionally, I held off for a while because what was the outlet? What are you going to do? Like there was a very sort of gatekeeper model of auditions, try to get on shows and sitcoms. And I was just, as a performer, I always identified first as a musician before doing live stand-up.
Right.
And comedy is much more linked to your identity and your personality. So it's a much more of a vulnerable thing. Music is a lot more of an armor that you can kind of put around yourself. But, if you hit a bad note, whatever, it goes by. If you say the wrong thing, it has a certain emotional and could have a social cost. There was all these things associated with it where, like, it took me a long time to separate the craft of comedy, writing and stand-up as material, as jokes, as an act, separate from the self. I think people see that when they watch a comedian doing an hour or whatever, doing stand-up, they're thinking, oh, that's them.
Yeah.
As opposed to an actor doing a role, a musician doing a song.
Right.
The comedian is also doing a joke, a craft.
Right.
But people really link the two together.
Yeah.
And so when they reject the joke, it's very hard not to take it personally. But like once you do it, you realize, okay, so that didn't work. The joke needs work. I'm okay.
Right.
Oh,
and so you know how to separate yourself from that.
Yeah. But at first you don't think of it like that. You're just like, I don't want to put my personality on the chopping block for judgment. I'd rather just be okay as myself. I don't want the audience to like, So if they don't like a song, it's one thing. They didn't like the song.
Right.
But comedy always was like confusing because
I understand.
Somebody says, "Yeah, actually, you're really funny."
Yeah.
I liked your set. You're really funny.
Right.
But if you didn't like your set, are you not funny? And I feel like
that's really
for
interesting.
a lot of people, they link the two, and I didn't want to subject it to that condition of my funniness being determined by an audience. I'd rather, having felt like I was funny, and like they say, when you take an improv class or comedy or workshop stuff, you find out just like how unfunny you are, because you subject it to that sort of review.
You can be really funny with your friends and then nothing on stage.
But the art of comedy, I think a lot of people think, oh, stand up, I could do that. You just get up and be funny. It's a real craft, the writing and the development and structure. It's kind of unfortunate, but in the industry of comedy, there isn't this school or training or technical thing. It's all kind of learning on the street.
Absolutely.
Even though it's a very technical process.
But
joke structure and all those things. But you kind of have to learn it as you go. There isn't really there's improv schools and things, but the act of like stand-up itself is really just exposure therapy and doing it.
Yeah, it's throw yourself in the pool and sink or swim. It really is that. It's that extreme.
Even though it can be a very technical thing to write. Writing jokes is very technical, but for whatever reason, there wasn't a natural, like, you have culinary schools, you have painting schools, music schools. So many other art forms have established educational infrastructure, but comedy doesn't,
No, it doesn't. I never learned a thing from comedy school.
What?
I didn't learn anything from comedy school. I always tell people that are new comics, I ran 4 open mics a week, and I produced a lot of shows. And I told new comics, I'm doing this since 2011. I'm telling people, go and do open mics fine, but get on a show. Even if it's a bringer show, get on the show with other pro comics, because that way you're on a stage in front of an audience. And that's the only way to really learn this.
I mean, it's true for everything. How do you learn how to cook? You cook.
Right.
Not learn how to cook or study how to cook.
That's true.
But for whatever reason, with comedy, the act of doing it, which is applicable to all the other artistic fields. You have to paint to get good at painting. You have to make music.
Right.
You have to you participate in it rather than studying about it.
Right.
Too many fields focus too much on that, and I think too many people who want to be artists focus on learning about doing something rather than doing the thing. But for some reason with comedy, there's a real aversion or just lack of development of the learning educational part of it. You're kind of asking other comedians to help you punch up a joke, and then you're reading a little bit about that, or you're studying other people. But just the nature of it for whatever reason, you know.
If you could be around somebody that's a pro, and have punch ups and all that other stuff, that's gold, in my opinion. That's not.
But for whatever reason, it didn't take to the traditional educational infrastructure that other art forms do.
Right.
But the same principle is the same. You have to get out there and do it. You know.
So, like we were saying before, we're touching on how you don't know where you're going to go on this journey. It's like you started out one way, you thought that was your goal, and then you end up famous, I guess, or TikTok famous, or whatever it is to sell tickets. In my opinion, for me, not an opinion, actually, for my wants and needs, I want to translate everything to ticket sales as stand-up. You know, and if something happens after that, fine. If acting, Andrew Dice Clay started out as an actor and turned out to be one of the greatest, you know, and sold out stadiums and whatever it was, arenas with his comedy. But that's not what he wanted. Yeah. He wanted to be an actor. And so he started out that way. And then, you know, that's what took him. It's funny because I wish now that if I started out, like I would want to just do stand-up forever. That to me is the most immediate. It's the most gratifying. It's instant gratification for me. And they were my babies, my jokes, my experiences, you know, and God bless my husband for even putting up with any of it because he doesn't go to any comedy shows and doesn't care about it, but just supports me from far. Just started seeing a video go viral and he's like, well, maybe we need a little production company. Maybe you should do it with not just yourself doing it. Now he's starting to like want to invest in it because he sees there's an interest in it. Yeah. Now he like me. But now he's starting to see like there's something budding out of this. And he says, you're getting more eyeballs on you than ever before in any show that you've ever done by going on social media, of course.
He really has no idea what you do out in the world until this one video came about. It's been 30 years. He's like, wait a minute. Yeah. You should do...
First, it embarrassed him, the first show that I've ever gone on. Yeah. He was embarrassed. He was like, he fought with me before he came. And he was like, what if you're not funny? What if they don't laugh? I go, I don't care. Because I had a theater background. I have no stage fright. And I'm doing this for fun. Like, I think it's funny.
How does the theater background help you on the stand-up side?
Oh, forget about it.
The silence?
Everything. No. The one bad thing about it was that I didn't break a fourth wall. Like I didn't look into the audience and engage. Right. And someone gave me a tip. Actually, my friend Sherrod Small gave me a very big tip. He says, "You're talking at them, not with. You're not talking to them."
What's the deal with subways? What's the deal with airports?
To be or not to be.
A little too theater trained, I get it.
Right, and I was a theater, so I was touching the back of the room, but I wasn't touching the front. So now I'm more engaged, and it's a world of a difference. So thanks, Rod. So where do you see yourself? Like, I guess everybody asks this question: 5 years, 10 years. Like, what is your goal? Like, what do you want to come out of this? Because already you're making such a dent. Not a dent. You're making a major difference, like a crater of a difference in the world of, Israel and Judaism. And I, as one person alone, thank you for that because it's not easy to put yourself out there, especially when you're an artist. When you're an artist, you don't want to really mix the two. Someone just told me yesterday, a really big producer, I'm not a producer, a really big manager told me, be careful, you're going into the politics side. I said, I don't do politics on stage unless it's a private event and I know I could. Right. But those people weren't coming after me. And they weren't coming to my shows anyway for me. So if I do have a fan base that's, on a political side, well, then so be it. I had nothing before, so who cares? And I'm going to be an advocate for my kids. I'm a Jew. I have to be an advocate for my kids. I'm worried about their safety.
There's several things that have happened whereas everything has gotten a little more serious in a post-October 7th world for us as Jews and looking around where it's hard to just kibitz and just do things for fun when you're not even sure if... those kind of things exist in sort of a civilized world that understands a basic sort of level of decency and respect. Then you can joke around. Yeah. But if you don't know if people mean it, if it's unsure how if they're going to stand with you when things get really, when the rubber, hits the road and it's like an actual serious scenario, then you're like, I don't know if I feel like safe to joke around with you. Like, I'm all for joking about any subject under the sun. The problem is, what is the reality and the context of that reality that the joke sits in? Like even racist jokes, anti-Semitic jokes, all those things are all good. Like, I like all that, all the subjects, and I like being able to make funny out of everything.
Right.
But if your audience is actually anti-Semitic or actually hateful, that's where there's been this weird confusion in like the cancel culture versus wokeness space where people are interpreting, I think, proper reactions to real rises in anti-Semitism and how people are using anti-Zionist language to couch it and express it, and we're reacting to it. People are saying, "Oh, well, he's just making this joke or this that." I'm not reacting to a joke. I'm reacting to a serious point someone's making or a serious reality. Like joking about a subject or expressing something in the form of art is one thing. Kanye's song HH. I'll say it for so you don't get banned from YouTube. But like, that's not even the issue.
Right.
The issue is that in real life, Kanye West is anti-Semitic and making anti-Semitic remarks and emboldening a huge audience and pushing the Overton window to a point where anti-Semitism is fashionable. The song, if you want to say it's provocative, it's all those things, fine. But in real life, Kanye West is saying those things. So he means this. The song is an expression of how he actually feels. The Hitler speech is what he's been saying in serious ways all over the place.
Right.
The internet is just buzzing with fashionable anti-Semitism. So that's very different than the song. And I think artists in the community and people who are like combating wokeness rightfully are confusing that. So how do I see myself in this? I mean, obviously, I'm not too worried about rocking the boat because we're in a world now where you build your own audience.
Right.
I mean, 50,000 true fans is much more valuable than 3 million scattered people who kind of know what you do.
Right.
So everybody's building their corners of the internet and their corners of an audience where, you're to be very well known to 3 million people and not known to anyone outside of that.
Right.
So
and that's fine with me.
I'm not that worried about that element of it. It's the most powerful thing you can do is continue to maintain your integrity, and your relationship with your audience trumps everything else because everybody is just attracted to that.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to get involved, they're also just chasing audience.
Right.
So I'm focused a lot on the audience, on the people that are drawn to what I'm doing on the comedy side, on the commentary side, and also on my podcast, Ami's House, which has been growing and kind of tackling these issues and cultivating that.
Yeah,
and
check that out, guys.
And performing to be able to do my, finding a way to synthesize all those things is an interesting challenge that's up ahead of me of like integrating music, comedy, commentary into a live show as opposed to just being, because I think when people come out to see me, they're thinking about that other stuff too.
Right.
But it's also a space to just let go and be entertained. But maybe there's a way to deepen that connection, and whether that's live podcasting or having a show that kind of incorporates all three and synthesizes all three, where there's a comedic stand-up portion, there's a Q&A, there's music.
I like that.
Finding a way to synthesize that is something I'm interested in, and just like continuing to maintain and nurture the online presence to build. It's one thing to get attention, it's another thing to build a business, and it's another thing to build a community. So a real community is sort of the goal so that it can sustain the art. I think a lot of people...
It does sustain the art.
I think a lot of people say, I want to use the art to get known.
No.
I'd rather get known to make the art,
I agree
so that I
with that,
can
100%.
continue to make and do what I'm doing. Like, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
If it was bigger, I would just continue.
Right.
So that's how
And
I
however
look
you
at it.
bring
It's not a
people
means
in.
to just like be known. I'd rather whatever support and enthusiasm and attention it gets is so I can continue to make the stuff I'm making.
Right, and bring awareness. And I think what I like about you mostly is that you are so articulate and so well thought. You really thought about things before you just talk. You know what I mean? You're not just talking out of nowhere. You really are very good at talking to people.
Well, thank you. Yes. So, that's sort of the area I didn't expect to get involved into, but
that's another way.
It kind of pulls you in. Your universe pulls you into interesting places, and also it's a testament to trying different things outside your comfort zone because you don't really know what you are. One doesn't know themselves as well, and sometimes when you're successful at one thing, you just label yourself in that lane and say, "Okay, that's what I am. I'm a musician." And then until you do the other thing, you sort of have the imposter syndrome of, I don't know if I'm supposed to be that until you do it. And then by doing it, you become it, you know?
Right.
So post October 7th, it felt a little weird to just make silly jokes about other things.
Right.
When there felt like there was this thirst or this empty void of something not being said. So I said it, you know? And I felt...
You took a leap.
Yeah, I just said, like, what can I do here? It wasn't even so conscious other than, like, this is all I feel I could do and talk about.
Right.
So I'm going to do that. And turned out people responded to it in a fairly unique way. I wasn't sure how they were going to respond to it.
Of course. We never know.
But then you start to, you know, it's hard. Like, what am I, an advocate now? Is that like, that's just these
what,
terms.
Am I a clown?
Yeah, these words, the labels, how, you know, they feel weird to say it before you've actually proven it to yourself. So I think it's a sort of a lesson or testament to just do, you know, to be focused on what you want to put out, but also if it feels authentic to you, like experiment, try things, and, you know, you'd be surprised at how the world reacts to it or rewards you for it. I think it's also just about not overthinking and over-hesitating too much as a creative. And, you know, like, eventually, I made my way back to doing more comedy and commentary, but also satire, which is like a blend of the two, where you're like having an angle.
It pulls people in. It doesn't matter where you're getting them from.
Yeah, and just like being satirical, I used to have it was fun for fun's sake. I wasn't trying to like make a, you know, it was a funny observation. Like comedy's always has an element of truth you're trying to highlight, but the intention of why you're trying to highlight it is sort of what makes the difference between satire and comedy. If I'm just trying to point out somebody's idiosyncratic thing, that's funny. And that's what's true. If I'm trying to point out something idiosyncratic and evil or and bad or problematic, you're kind of that's where it falls into the satire from comedy, which is effective at highlighting a problem because you can talk about something that you take issue with, but making somebody laugh about it is sort of a way to, you know, persuade and reveal what's going on.
And breaks the ice and bonds.
And it's very effective at illuminating the thing that is the issue. I could tell you, oh, he's this, he's that. It's sort of a show instead of tell.
Right.
And that's what satire
That's really
does.
a great way to put it.
You know?
So I lived in Hawaii when I first started. It started in New York, and then I went to Hawaii, and I became a comedian out there. Big fish, small pond, fine. Got paid, it was different. Got 15 to 20-minute sets, which was great for that kind of thing.
I never thought of the Hawaii comedy scene, and first time hearing
because
about
it's like New Jersey with a nicer ocean.
Yeah,
that's basically it. It's a suburb, you know. But you know, there's not that much out there. So you know, there are a lot of people in the military that do come to the shows and come in and out of Hawaii. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the networking there you can't do. You can't grow as a comic there. You can't network there. And I came back to New York. Like 7 years later, and had to start all over again. So the networking here is amazing. Like I met you for the first time. After seeing you online, I met you at an open mic. Remember that day? It was at the Grizzly Pear.
Oh, wow,
and
I do.
I was pulling people in from the bar to come in. It wasn't my open mic.
Right.
I just wanted I just wanted asses in seats.
Yeah.
And I pulled all those Irish people that came right off the plane from Ireland. They'd never been to New York. They had told me that. Yeah. And they were drunk as could be.
Not sure if
it
they
was
liked
Irish
us.
Day Parade. They did not like Jews and told us they didn't like
They're
Jews.
big kneecap fans, I think.
I don't know what they were. But I was like,
they were up in Hezbollah from the front row. I don't know. Something about the Irish and the Jews in the Israel.
Something happened.
I'm not sure what the problem is,
I don't
but
know
we're not
either.
getting through to the Irish.
No, I know. And it was a big problem because I remember asking them because I didn't really care. I was like, so do you guys like hate Jews? And they're like, yeah. They had no problem telling me.
Did they say that?
Yep.
You asked them straight up?
They had no problem telling me.
You said, you guys hate Jews? Of course we hate the Jews.
Yeah, and they were so drunk that they were like, yeah, we're going to tell her whatever's on our mind. They were unfiltered.
Right.
And so I was thrilled to meet you that day.
It was a great crowd. It was great. It was a really great show.
There was like 20 of them, but they did not like Jews. But they were like there just to not support, just to see what a Jew would say, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so the fact that I met you is what's great about New York comedy scene is that, you know, you could be hated in one part of New York and then loved in another part, or just have your own audience, but then you could network with people like you're friends with Elon Gold, who's a fantastic artist in so many ways. I say artist because he's not just a comedian. He really is an artist comedian.
Sure.
How did you meet him? Did you know him before? Were you friends before?
Elon, initially I grew up down the street from him in the Catskills, you know, so he's a couple steps ahead of me in the game. So he was really kind of one of the sort of pioneer people doing Jewish comedy about our world.
Yeah.
and he was down the street in the Catskills, and I would, as a little kid, I kind of, our families knew each other.
Right.
And he was in sort of mainstream Hollywood doing, kind of in our like Orthodox Jewish world, it's hard to jump out of that box. It's hard to break out of that box in terms of what people do for careers.
Right.
So certainly seeing someone like Elon go out there and be a stand-up and an actor and get on shows and develop shows and not do the typical thing. It was really but this is all pre-social media, so for that to happen was really unusual.
Amazing.
So I always kept an eye on that, and that was cool to watch and see. And Elon was kind of always in both worlds, sort of mainstream Hollywood and then New York stand-up scene, LA scene.
Oh, right.
And
oh, yeah. Did you know him in LA?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
oh,
so I knew him in LA too. We didn't really overlap because I was in the music world while he was in the comedy world.
Right.
And so we would like see each other, and we knew each other from like the old country and from the Catskill days.
Now you do sketch comedy.
But then he started to take notice of my impressions as I started doing it on social media. He knew I could do stuff. He knew I could do impressions. But again, I wasn't in that hustle. We were like in parallel worlds. I was doing music stuff. He was doing comedy stuff. And then I think he always knew I had that in me, that skill set. But because I wasn't in that hustle in LA,
gives you high praise.
We weren't overlapping until I got to New York, which is funny because we were in LA at the same time. When I got to New York, and then I started really doing, and my social media stuff started growing, and then I started doing more stand-up in the New York scene. When he would come to New York, he would invite me to come on his shows.
Right.
And he's taken on that sort of mentor role as someone who's been in it, especially, years and years into the stand-up game, just having those years, just watching him perform and watching him sort of work out these different environments as a stand-up is inspiring to watch. And, I've called him for ideas and things, and I've called him for typical, Jewish type scenarios. Like I texted him once, hey, I'm going to do this show for a banquet. They just told me this horrible tragedy befell the community. There was a terrible, terrible tragedy. And then so I get this call from the client, like, so everyone's really upset. Maybe you bring a guitar too or something. We had a terrible loss.
Oh my God.
This is the day of, so I don't know if you want to maybe just sing a song. I'm
my God.
What? And he, and he's been through it all.
He's done that before
in that world. You can't call any old comedian. You can't call any typical comic in the space.
Right.
What do I do in such and such scenario? Elon's been in those positions, and he was, he gave me really good chizuk. He was just like, listen, there's ways to approach it, acknowledge it, but you have to do your act. You have to. It's your responsibility to lift everybody up. And so he's taken that role, and we're friends and work on collaborations together, sketches, things like that, shows.
I
so
see that. Great. What's it called? J Sketch?
J Sketch, sure. Yeah, we've cast Elon in a bunch of J Sketches for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's your production company, probably. Right?
It's me and two other guys that we founded at Mikey Greenblatt, who's a regular over here, and Nellie Leibowitz. Yes. But it's been cool to just sort of, I think Elon had to go through years and years of trying to expand in this world, and grow his audience in a world that was full of gatekeepers, So he was, going on sitcoms, getting things developed and approved by someone to make. So in the pre-social media world, he was really in that space for a long time, and we're exploring now this world post-social media where you can do what you want to do and build your audiences that way. So it's been good. There's these different people who have their names in the space of the Jewish comedy world. And we've worked with him a bunch as someone who's been great to collaborate with for various sketches and things when he comes through New York.
He's phenomenal.
He's a great actor as well as comedian, so it's nice to have someone to work with like that.
Yeah, I was friends with the late Jackie Mason. I used to go for lunch with him all the time, and just try things out on him without him knowing. Just in a conversation, which I think is always. Listen, I don't care.
Elon
if I
does a great
laugh.
Jackie Mason. I don't. I do an Elon's Jackie Mason, but
I know. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, I don't. It's before my time. Elon has those Woody Allen, Jackie Mason kind of people, but he's 80 now, so I guess.
Who's 80?
Elon. No, I'm just kidding.
Jackie's gone.
Jackie's gone. Elon's in, I think, late 60s, 70s.
Elon's my age.
So that's the world he grew up with. Yeah. Those were the old school guys that he brought in. So Elon's is
no,
like,
no.
I don't
Yeah,
know
he's
really.
phenomenal at it.
But it's perfect.
His impressions are, and he's a perfectionist, so he's going to get that exactly
yes.
down. And he's also a funny impressionist.
Yeah,
you know?
We overlap on that too. When we do shows together, we have to divvy up who's doing what
I'm
tonight.
sure. I'm an impressionist too, but I'm working on it.
Elon's Trump is more like up here. Mine is more down here. I have a deeper, gravelly one. Elon's is more like, so we cover different ranges. We did a show recently. We did a panel and we did a little dueling Trump. That's always fun.
That's so
but generally speaking, we're backstage. He's like, okay, you do Biden. I'll take Trump. You do Kamala. I'll do this.
You just did Elon Gold.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
Great. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love it. So yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say, but I really love the fact that you could network in New York and that you could.
Yes, the New York scene is good for that. I came from LA. I found that it's interesting.
LA, you're seen by people in the business, like that could do sitcoms or whatever. That was the goal for
people. Are accessible in LA that they weren't in New York.
But it's different here. New York.
LA's people have time if you want to get together for coffee. When you're just starting out, I think LA can be really good for that because people are a little more accessible. If you want to get together for coffee with someone, they'll meet with you at 11 a.m. and chill for an hour.
Right.
So everybody's got this agenda and everybody wants to do stuff and advance their careers. And if you're just starting out, it's a kind of a good spot to do that.
Really?
Whereas New York is a little more closed. Like if you want to get together with someone, you might get 20 minutes a month from now. And it may get canceled because everybody's time is a little more.
Really?
But once you have a little bit of stuff going on and you've developed a little bit of that, New York is a really great way to kind of fuel that and expand because there's a lot of activity, especially in the stand-up world. People talk about LA stand-up versus the New York stand-up scene, and that just
I know it's
if
so
you want
annoying.
stage time, there's just much more activity here.
Yeah, it's annoying to hear like the comparisons of which one's better. It doesn't matter. Are you making people laugh? I'll make people laugh on the checkout line at a supermarket. I'm happy.
I would just say that I think the way you're looking at it, or the way a lot of people still look at it, is an old school model of I need permission from the industry and the people in it to make it.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you can build an audience from your home studio with a phone, and you can then work on that live show, whatever that is. If you're going to do live, you can drive tickets. You can build a community without the permission of colleagues or club owners.
Yeah.
So whatever scene there is, I know people who've built audiences from a podcast in Louisiana or North Carolina, wherever it may be. Mr. Beast, I think, is in North Carolina. I don't know.
It just
the
doesn't
biggest
matter
YouTuber in the
where you are.
world.
Yeah.
He's not in LA, New York, or any of these places.
I know. It's amazing.
So we're not geographically dependent or even scene dependent as we used to be because, but if you're trying to work on an act or a skill, like building up a live set, it's good to be around that and it's good to have shows and opportunities. But if you're just thinking about audience as well, independent of that or being able to draw people to come see you, you want them to have something to see. So you need to find a way to work that out. That's for sure. But that's a nice change in the industry.
During COVID, people were doing self-tapes for auditions. My daughter's an actor. So she was in LA for a while, and I asked Elon if he could host her at a Shabbat dinner or something, or anything, just get her out there. And then she moved back to Hawaii, and she was doing self-tapes out there. And they do film out there too, but
it's still a huge component, and the social network element, the social component of the industry is super important. But you're not as fully dependent on it. Because you can make stuff however you want to make it, and the internet is there.
It's great.
And the people are watching the internet. They're not watching television.
Yeah, and that's why when I tell comics they should put their stuff up there also. Unless you're doing the same set over and over and over and not evolving, then okay. But if you're going to evolve, you're getting more eyes on your video doing stand-up on YouTube than you would in a room at a club. And what are you doing really? You're just promoting a club at some point. You know what I mean? Unless you have your own show and you're headlining your own thing, you're really just at a club. And
it's true. And that's why
a showcase.
That's why you see a lot of crowd work, so they don't give away the material. But
I know.
At the end of the day, yes.
I understand that.
If you're performing it for one room and you have the potential to have 200,000 people see that joke, then it's
so
you
then
pick your spots.
Write more.
You pick your spots.
Write more. Write better.
And I don't think it really matters. I've seen comedian friends when you're on the circuit and you do the same and you see the same act, I still laugh at all the same spots.
I know.
If it's a good joke, I always do.
And then people get upset that they're almost like you didn't put your greatest hits. Like, why don't you do that joke that I love?
Yeah, I'm just like I think comedians are jealous of musicians who could just play their songs and everyone still loves them. But it's more true about jokes that they're closer to songs than the element of surprise joke. Sometimes it's like a magic trick, and if everybody knows, it's not as impactful.
Yes. That's what comedians think.
They think it's like a magic trick. Sometimes I get that.
If you watch them too many times, and it's like, okay, I've seen this too many times. But the truth is,
it always still can work. I've seen it.
I've seen it too. I could watch the same joke over and over
and it's still funny.
laugh.
It's still funny.
In fact, sometimes I'll get it even the third time is even funnier.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not just the element. The element of surprise is important in the joke telling.
Some say that's the most important.
Yeah, which means you can't know the punchline beforehand. Right. But even jokes I've heard, I still laugh.
I still laugh too.
So I'm not too. I think don't be too precious about it.
Especially if it's just like a storyline, like a Jim Jeffries telling the gun joke. You know what I mean?
It's a story.
You want to be able to you go through that journey again. Oh, I must have missed that other part of that story. There's storytelling jokes. There's impressionists. There's so many ways to laugh.
It's all kind of a story. Like I think even a magic trick in and of itself, which feels like it's gimmicky, like there's just a story happening in front of you.
Yeah.
A song is a story being told in that format, and a joke is a story.
Everything's a story.
It's an insight into you. So. It's your angle, and in a movie, you can watch the same movie even though you know what's going to happen. So
all the time.
People focus too much on thinking it's a novelty.
Yeah, they overthink.
Rather than this is just a funny expression of something, and you can.
There's a lot of overthinking in this.
For sure.
So we're going to do a segment called Ask a Bitch, but before we do, I'm going to tell you about my book that's sitting right here like the whole time, and you're like, what is that? My book called Impress Yourself. It was basically written for my kids because I wanted them to know who I was after I died, and then I decided to publish it. And I used to be a health coach, so I talk about health and stuff like that. And then I have my shirt. I have merch online at wifesabitch.com. This says Housewives Matter because I'm a housewife, and I have Rent to Karen and all that stuff. You can go online and go look at that, but also people write into me, and you can too. It's all anonymous, and it's basically about relationship questions. I'm married for 27 years, and how long are you married for?
I am married 15. We just passed 15 years.
Congratulations. Yeah. And it's some people say too long. My husband and I answer that same exact way at the same exact time.
Feels like 30 years.
It feels like 30.
15 years.
So I'm going to get into the Q&A. This was with Q&A with you. Okay, not that one. Relationship advice. Okay. All right. Somebody wrote, I'm not going to say names. My girlfriend's parents are, pressuring me. I wrote that wrong. My girlfriend's parents are pressuring me to get married. I will get married, but when I want to. It's been 3 years now, and I'm only 26, and my girlfriend is the same age. How do I get these people off my back?
That's a question for me, how to get his girlfriend's parents off his back to pressure to get married?
I would have slapped him silly on that one.
3 years.
Yeah, it's too long.
What
No, it's too long.
I think if he has this false notion that there'll be a time when it feels right, and I would generally advise, look, I could speak for myself, but it's not about what you.
How long did it take you?
We dated like 9-10 years. No, I'm just kidding.
I know that.
We dated 3 years, but we were students.
Oh, really?
We were in college.
Okay, he's 26.
Yeah.
So they started at 23.
I got married at 23.
Oh, you did?
I was 3 years ahead of this guy.
Okay.
But,
you wimp.
we were 3 years, but we were students. So, it was like 20, 21. Did you talk about
marriage in the early days? Or?
I mean, we talked about it.
Was she your only girlfriend?
In college, my only real serious one. There were
serious,
little things along the way, but
you felt
primarily,
like you met the one though.
Yeah, an Orthodox Jew.
Right, you date
talk
to
about
marry.
it after 6 months.
Yeah, you date to marry. Honey, I'm a parent.
Yeah,
I talk
Orthodox
about it after
Jews.
the
It's
first month.
kind of a simplified format where there's no nonsense. Like, are you ready to build a life? Like, am I going to go live on like the West Side with some roommates or get married?
Right.
You got married.
All right. Let's say you were 23 when you met her. It would have sped up that process.
I think as you get older into it, I would imagine that what you know in 3 years, you can know in one, and you can build a life.
It depends how many times you're with them.
You got to do maybe 6 months to a year.
Seasons.
You got to see if there's like some psycho going on.
Yeah. 4 seasons.
What if she can't do Pesach? Like, you got to figure that out. Like, if she can, there's a couple things you got to have in line: values, hang, chemistry.
Yeah.
But you learn all that fairly quickly. I'm not saying,
And you marry the family. Stop talking about the family.
I'm not saying go 2 weeks and you got to get past infatuation. You got to get past the novelty.
Right.
But once you're in a groove, in a routine, if you could do it.
How do I get them off my back?
I would
You're
ask.
marrying the family.
No, I would ask the question if not now, what are you waiting for?
Right.
What moment is it? Why do you want to sit in this sort
agree.
of comfortable, non-committal space where you have an out, as opposed to committing to actually building a life?
Yeah, give him an ultimatum.
I'd say grow up a little bit, man. 3 years in, and it's not about what you necessarily know for sure, but what you're gonna build.
That's right.
And if he's like, I don't know for sure, it's like, no, who knows anything for sure? You can't predict the future.
As a parent, I would kick him out.
So if your values are aligned and the hang is good, get married.
Get married.
Look in the mirror and be honest with yourself.
That's
if you're just doing it because you're waiting something out and you'll eventually find the one and this isn't it, then you're wasting everybody's time.
And that's happened before,
including your own. So
where people date for 4 or 5 years and then all of a sudden they break up and 10 minutes later they found their spouse. How did that happen? Because you were with the wrong person at the right. All right, that's all. So here's somebody else. How do I get a man to fall in love with me? That was quick and short. That was there was no details in that one. How do I get a man? I assume you're a woman. I don't know. But, if you
how
are
inappropriate do we want to get on this podcast?
We could go as far as
there are things you can do. How do you
blow him? No, I don't know what to tell you.
How do you get a man to fall in love with you?
That's what they're asking.
I'd say you have to. If I'm psychoanalyzing that comment, does this person love themselves?
Potion number
I don't know. Don't seek validation for You're not going to determine that you're worth being loved by somebody else. That's your own
100% true. That's why I wrote that book.
Self-esteem. I think you get a man to fall in love with you by believing and knowing that you're worth somebody's love.
Right.
In loving yourself and having that confidence and self-esteem. And
that's right.
Relationships are selfish enterprises. You would not want to be in a relationship where you're like, well, I'm loving you for your sake. Yeah. I get nothing out of it, but I want you to be happy. That would not be something you would want. You'd want somebody who recognizes the value you bring and vice versa. You're both valuable to each other. Mm-hmm. So, always stacking it as, I've met people who've struggled with it and they're always looking for their validation from somebody else.
Right.
That they're only valuable if somebody's into them.
Right.
And that's not good.
No, it's so unhealthy. I used to do that.
That doesn't mean you're like a boss bitch and you're out there, you're like, I don't need anybody.
Right.
You clearly value a relationship,
yeah.
a marriage, a household, a family. And you want someone who shares that.
It took me 50 years to find myself finally.
Yeah.
50. I'm 55.
And doesn't require somebody else to have that value. You should have it internally. And I think people see that in other people, and that's what's attractive to people.
Yeah, so if you could do that from now, just from Ami Kozak's advice,
right, then
you should. All right, if wife's a bitch, why should I get married? You don't sell this whole thing too well with that name. What's the upside of marrying a bitch? Honey. Let me tell you something.
Is that a question for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because he's saying that what's the benefit of it? Well, the benefit is that you get somebody that's going to tell you like it is with no filter. Mm-hmm. I'm just that type of person. And my husband absolutely loves it. Mm-hmm. He hates it and loves it at the same time. He hates it. He had a problem with this name of the podcast. He's like, what is that? You're going to call yourself a bitch? And this, and now he embraces it. He's like, you really are a bitch.
You're a bitch. I realized.
You really
watching you on this podcast, I despise you, and I love that.
But what's the definition of a bitch? Could it be somebody despicable, or could it be somebody that's actually endearing and really tells it like it is without a filter? Mm-hmm. I'd rather know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I know LA has a little bit of a different thing, a feel to it. I don't know if
LA
you know
is
the
a little
difference.
Fluffier.
Yeah, they're fluffy. They will tell you something completely different and not like you, but they'll be like so
LA
nice and
is
big.
Nice, not kind. New York is kind, not nice.
That's good.
That's the expression.
Right. So
people will do things for you here
no
if you need a real thing, but they're not nice about it. LA's like, how are you? But they won't do anything for you.
And I hate that.
They care about humanity, not human beings.
And I hate that.
So there's
I don't
a
care
difference.
about humanity.
So I think you're being tongue in cheek, but to be a bitch meaning to be real. People want something real. So you respect your husband enough to be real,
right,
and not sugarcoat things.
I like that.
Even if
Did you hear that, honey?
Even if that's, I would hope. I mean, even that's uncomfortable. You want someone who's gonna be real with you, and uncomfortable.
There's nothing like it.
There's a pain to that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You want a little bit of that pain.
My husband is the bitch form of a man. And
yeah.
if there's a way to macho make that word.
Man,
I don't know.
You guys sound terrible. Both of you are just disgusting.
We're horrible. But it works. 27 years, so go figure.
Amen.
Thank you. everybody did not believe in us, but you know what? We showed them.
I still haven't met him though, so let's.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll introduce you.
It'd be funny if you came home and there's just like no one there, and you're like,
well,
and there's like a picture of a guy you dated in high school, and you're like, "Hi, bitch."
People are marrying holograms now. I don't know.
Right.
But you know what? My husband's done some crazy shit. You know, he runs ultra marathons and he climbed Mount Everest. He's done crazy shit.
He's anything but a bitch. He's a real man.
He's a bitch of a man. So should I keep dating a man who is so good to me but can't seem to make it when it comes to business or money? He really can't make money because he's so lazy. He's an artist and he loves to make music. It's not looking good.
Did my wife write into the show? What happened here?
Is this about Ami? Yeah.
What do you think? You're the lady here.
Okay, so I have a situation where I married for love. That's not so smart, but I married for love, but now he has money, so I could divorce him, which I always say.
Yeah.
Look, first time love, second time money.
Right.
If you have a second time, but the love thing, it really is something that you can grow with them and then make money together. It's a struggle. My mother always wanted me to marry someone with money, but he didn't have it, and I knew he had ambition. Right. My superpower is I could tell when someone's going to make it. Like I know when someone has the it factor. Right. I could spot talent. I could spot, that thing. And he had it. And he's younger than I am. So I had to really rely on my instincts and my ability to have that talent to go forward with him. But here's the thing. He was serious without any games, which I love. If a man's not playing any games with you, he's mature already and he's serious. So that's where and I was waiting. I was a virgin till my wedding night, and I was about 29 years old, almost before 30. So he didn't care. He waited, which was also another great sign. But the thing that I'm getting at is that when you cultivate some relationships, you really get to know each other without the sex, first of all. And second of all, you get to know each other, and then you see how serious it can get and what you can go through together in, like you were saying, you have to go through, I say 4 seasons.
And they're still waiting to consummate. 30 years later, we're just holding on tight. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I don't know how those kids got here. But you really want to go through those, dips and, those horrible times with them. Yeah. And hopefully
she
you
said
have like those.
In the question, she said he's lazy.
He's
and
lazy
is
Lazy's another thing.
There are very, very productive, not lazy people, but maybe the industries and like the worlds they're in is different than, certain industries are more lucrative than others.
Tough.
Lazy's a character thing, so that's something to work on. But I would say, if somebody's like doesn't want to do anything,
that's scary.
I could see why that would be unattractive to be someone who see someone who doesn't really work hard or anything. But would she rather be in a very comfortable material relationship,
right,
that is lonely and he's not good to her? So I don't know what the balance is. I mean, which one would you rather be lacking in? Someone who doesn't respect you and doesn't care for you emotionally,
right?
But whatever can buy you nice things. I don't know, but
like I have a daughter now. She's 19. She's dating somebody she's serious about, and he's just making it. He's just starting. He's 23. It's like, let them suffer a little bit. But she does have somewhere to fall back on if she needs to. I didn't really have that much to fall back on, but I went with it anyway. So I jumped. But he was very, very.
I would think though it's more
ambitious.
than just like material gains. It's like someone's oriented to something that they're passionate about, regardless of whatever industry they're channeling it in.
Yeah.
You could say, well, it's a. I don't think girls should like put too many restrictions on boxes of a certain type until they actually explore what works and what relationship they're in.
And what is
Otherwise,
she offering?
they completely crowd it out.
And what's she offering? It's not only about what he can't do.
So I guess that's a choice that person has to make in assessing what that laziness. When she says laziness, what does she really mean by that? Is it that he's passionate about doing things that don't make a lot of money, or is it just that he's like not doing?
That's a good point.
I don't know what that means.
That's true.
When I hear a word like that, it's a descriptive, and I don't know because if somebody's like really getting focused on the family and attentive and stuff like that, that's not really laziness necessarily. I would say focus on competence. Like I think competence is probably one of those very attractive features that if someone can be rely on to do a lot of things. And I saw this interesting like clip or something about assessing within a partner, you know, very good at attending to certain things, family, father,
Love is showing
husband,
up.
provider, like all those kind of things are sort of a balance for people.
I'm so into
and certain
balance.
things are more intractable than others. You can change, like if he applies himself in an area where he could maybe, I don't know, make more money or do like that's a changeable thing. But if you're like not good to you, if he treats you badly, if he has bad temperament, like how changeable is that?
That's true. That's not changeable.
So
circumstantially
things can change, but temperament and person and values.
So if this was your daughter,
character.
If this was your daughter, this would be the same exact thing you'd say to your daughter.
I think so. You got to make sure. No, I would. You got to
no,
make
not
sure
for
that
my daughter,
there's a
just
respect
for you.
and mutual admiration. Otherwise, you're like, what? You're going to be lonely in a mansion.
And you could lose money. Yeah. By the way, you could lose money too. Right. You know, you could start out with money and then you have nothing after that. You have nothing to fall back on at all. Not even love.
Some of the like you could see the loneliest relationships are the ones that are wrong, no matter how much how much is going on, how much you pour into it. If at its core, it's rotten, then no matter what you put on it, distractions, material goods, like it's
words of wisdom from Ami Kozak.
I don't think
Let
so.
me give you maybe one or two more.
Yeah. I feel like Dr. Phil over here. Well, do you have somebody and it's rotten to the core? If they're not getting along and he doesn't respect you, it doesn't matter if he buys you a diamond ring, a bracelet, or a Lamborghini. You will be unhappy. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We'll be right back.
That's amazing.
That's my Adam Ray.
Love it. That's your Adam Ray doing, Phil?
I mean, I love his interpretation. I mean, I was doing a little Dr. Phil here and there, but he has a we'll be right back.
That's great.
So I got to get proper.
That's good. You gave him credit. Do you know him personally?
A little bit. I've met him on the scene a little.
Right. In LA?
Yeah, but not in any real way. But like we've crossed paths.
Right.
Yeah.
You know each other. Mm-hmm. He would say hi to you if he saw you. Okay.
I think so.
Do I stay with a man who always says something about my friends? He's okay with them sometimes in person, but he really doesn't like them. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, she put a few details in. I'm staying him for 4 months.
Staying with him.
I'm staying with him for 4 months, and my friends. All right. Mm-hmm. I've had all of my life. I copied and pasted this. I should have corrected her. But they will get married, and then what? I'm alone. Should my friends make a difference? That's really the question. My friends, they could be annoying and jealous of me also. Maybe he's right, or maybe he's just too possessive. I don't know. The friends.
I guess it depends on her relationship to her friends. Yeah. Does she like her friends? Do her friends like her? Right. Are her friends happy when she's happy? Are they encouraging of her success? Or are they bitter and resentful? Because it's a big red flag if he doesn't like the world she comes from. Right. Like friends that you formulate around yourself, unless you're someone who constantly needs that positive reinforcement and reassurance. So you keep friends around you to make you feel a certain way that don't actually add value. Yeah. If your peer group is something that is a positive in your life.
Or childhood friends from like.
Or those relationships are valuable to you and he dismisses them, that's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
I would say the only
you marry the family, you don't marry the friends.
Yeah, and if you I would say if a guy comes in and he gets along with all your friends, as well as you, like if these are relationships you've maintained over the long haul and he fits very much into that groove and that dynamic, that's a good sign that you'll have a good friendship with your husband. Yep. If your peer group is a bad peer group, and you being in this relationship is the first time you actually feel validated for who you feel you are, it's a choice you kind of have to make. And if his
But just don't have friends.
If his being turned off by your peer group is because he's seeing things in you that they haven't, you have to assess, do you value your friends? And if you do and he doesn't, then it's a red flag.
Hit the road. If
you don't value your friends or you've been made to realize they've always kind of put you down or held you back and he's recognizing that, it's still a choice you have to make. Right. I would generally say if you've kept friends
keep them separate.
If you're a together person who's felt good about themselves and their peer groups, and he comes in and disrupts that and is making you think twice about it, like you have to assess where you stand on that. And if he's feeling possessive, if he's threatened by your friendships, that's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing either. Of course, not at all. I agree with you on that. Yeah, very good. Okay, it's maybe the last two, and that's it. Mm-hmm. All right, my boyfriend is Indian, and I'm Chinese, and Jewish, my mother's side, and raised Jewish. Both of our parents are not happy about it. We've been dating for 3 months and they're not making it any easier on us. Help.
Chinese Jewish girl dating an Indian guy and both parents are not happy about it. No. The girl's Chinese parents want her to marry Jewish.
Right.
She's adopted or everyone's fully Chinese.
Don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have any details.
I mean, good Lord. That was like an AI generated ChatGPT relationship scenario. Give me the most obscure.
As an Orthodox Jew, you would say, I'm a Syrian Jew, so they don't even take converts in Syrian land.
Right. I know
and
that.
both parents have to be Jewish. So
I can speak to the fact that yes, you marry the family, values. Besides from good vibes and chemistry, the long haul is values that are aligned.
Right.
And if her Jewish values are very important to her, and cultural values are very important to her to sustain, maintain, and build and extend on her own, then you're setting yourself up for 10 years down the line a lot of problems that may not exist right now.
Do you Prince Harry right now?
But it's really helpful. It's really helpful that
they
don't accept Meghan and they don't accept Akash the Indian. I don't know what his name is. But, you are projecting something. You're investing in a relationship that you will have children into, you will build a home into, and it may not be relevant now what schools you're going to send your kids to if you're just dating and about to get engaged. But it will down the road, and you are setting yourself up for conflict.
Yep.
So like I said, you need the chemistry. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient.
Yeah.
If a couple has a great relationship, but one wants kids and one doesn't, when the time comes to have kids, you're going to hit a tension point that may not be that may be insurmountable.
Right.
If someone's not willing to change.
That's why
Jewish values, depending on how central they are to you, and Jewish continuity and wanting to maintain a Jewish family, if that's really important, then as time goes on, you're going to the good vibes and chemistry will go down, and the tension that you exist in and conflict will go up. So it's an assessment you have to make if he wants to convert and be part of that.
2 different cultures are very tough. And marriage is hard enough.
Yeah.
So if you really better think about...
set yourself up for potential real conflict down the road if...
And then the kids suffer. And then the kids suffer.
The lines of conflict might be here at this point.
Right.
But they're pointed... Like the ships are pointed this way.
Right.
And then eventually, if you've set yourself up that way, they will... clash.
Yeah.
Even if right here it's smooth sailing.
It's very, very, it's
something
very scary.
That person has to think about and assess, and what compromises someone's willing to make. And
marriage is also kind of a business. You gotta look at it long term. You can't look at, like you said, like just right here.
Yeah, so it's just those things, like everyone thinks, okay, well, everybody's getting along here. And yes, the families don't like it, but if you're pointed towards the cliff over here, like you have to, as opposed to no, we're both aligned. And obviously things change over time and you adjust. But if things are kind of intractable, like religion, community, values.
Even diet. I mean, try a carnivore with a vegetarian. Those don't mix either. Believe it or not. Look, I'm married to a guy that's a European Jew. I'm a Sephardic Jew. That's already a mixed
marriage.
I don't know any Yiddish. My mother-in-law was like, "Are you even a Jew?" I'm like, I know Arabic.
Right.
That's weird.
That's hard.
So, look, you go with it, but that's not really very, very strong. That's not a major difference.
I think that's workable.
That's workable.
But this feels a little bit far.
Although 40 years ago, not so easy to marry an Ashkenaz for an Assyrian Jew.
Yeah.
Not easy at all.
Yeah, you broke the mold.
All right, I think this is it. The last question is, my fiance is taking forever to set a date, very similar to the other thing. He says he needs more time. Is that a red flag? We have been together for 2 years, and now he wants our wedding to be in another year from now. He isn't sure when. He proposed to me after he saw I wanted to break up because he wasn't proposing. Now I'm starting to think he did that to shut me up and still wants to keep me. What's next?
I feel like Steve Harvey on this podcast giving
Go
relationship. Okay, so why he proposed to you? Okay, he asked you, he wanted you to shut up and stop bothering him. That doesn't sound like a man. He needs to man up and start putting his money where his mouth is.
Ooh,
okay?
I hear that.
Put his money where his mouth is and lock in that date. Because if he's just trying to shut you up, this is the problem with people cosplaying married life before they actually have to make anything committal.
Right.
So people talk about that now in this day and age. You move in together, you basically live like a married couple without any of the domestic responsibility and commitment of being married. And being able to cosplay being married and always having an out kind of prevents things from moving along into the next step. And so making that public commitment and to each other, it kind of like forces you to orient yourself properly.
Right.
So I say that from a non-Orthodox Jewish perspective, where people don't really move in together and start building that life until you get married.
Right. That's
so
true.
you have to make those committal decisions in advance of those things, because otherwise it's just endless sort of chaos adrift.
You have a
What's going to orient him to propose? What's the difference? What would change in their relationship if they got married? Kind of nothing.
Right.
So
That's
she's got to move out and
advice.
And
What's
hold
your take?
off
What's
until
your-
he comes around.
Like that. What's your take on the Bezos Sanchez wedding and relationship? What's your take on
I
that?
don't know it in depth. You mean the one that they had in Venice or something?
Yeah.
That big party?
Yeah. What do you guys
Isn't that
think?
like a
What do you think?
typical Syrian wedding, what they did?
Yeah, it was a typical
outfit
Syrian
changes. Everybody showed up late. Different things going on. I felt like it was
He rented
deal.
the whole entire country,
Yeah,
the whole entire town.
Yeah, he's older
Basically,
than her.
destination wedding.
It's a whole thing, So
All right.
just
I'll
felt
take
they
on
could have
it.
had it in deal. No one would have known the difference. That's what
They
I said.
could have. They could have had it in someone's backyard. All right, Ami, you want to plug something? Or will you have a show coming up and your website and whatever you want to
Yeah, sure. You could follow me at Ami Kozak on Instagram, on TikTok, and my podcast is called Ami's House. It's everywhere that podcasts are streaming. My band is called Distant Cousins. If you'd like to hear some music, indie folk pop with a little bit of kind of more Jew-centric focus these days, post-October 7th. We've been doing a lot of trying to make our contributions in that space as proud Jews, not just a
Is
band
it
that...
distant cousins because your cousins are actually in the band?
Well, we're all Jews, so
okay.
We've been overlapping over the years in different projects, and as we came together, it felt like the right kind of name.
Because
for
that
us.
sounds like a Syrian community.
Yeah, but
right
we're basically three Syrians, even though we're all Ashkenazi. But we're kind of contributing and focusing a lot on making music for Jews by Jews in a world where we feel like we need a lot of solidarity and focusing on like things we're proud of rather than focusing on people who hate us, but focusing on what we love and what makes us great.
I love it.
Like that's sort of the attitude shift I'd like to see, where we're constantly on defense, trying to prove to the world that we're not bad,
Right.
as opposed to showcasing to the world that we are good. And so that's on the music side. Yeah, so between the podcast, the comedy, and the music, you can find me out there everywhere at
I
Ami
love
Kozak.
it. And you can find me also on Instagram, Victoria Makes You Laugh, and on YouTube, Victoria the Comedian. And I have my book over here, Impress Yourself, and some merch. And it's on wifesabitch.com or Wife's a Bitch podcast. And I saw you backstage at the Yohei Sponder.
Sure. Yeah, you did
That's
great.
right. Oh, thank you. No, I did 2 shows. I've opened for him a couple of times, and I love that man.
No, he's the best.
I'm so glad he's blowing up right now.
Me
He
too.
really deserves it. Check him out also.
Shouts to Yochai.
But I'm also
Fluid comedy does it really
fantastic.
one of the best.
But yeah, it was great to have you here on my podcast, Wife's a Bitch. And out there, if you want to write in, please do. We'll talk about it. Whoever I'm with, if I'm alone, whatever, we'll talk about it, and we'll answer the questions as much as we can.
Great to be here.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you.